They have always said that the best camera is the one that you have with you. I've never actually believed in that quote in my photography journey up until now. For such a long time, I've always thought that we should do as much as possible to acquire the best gears that we can, the biggest sensor, the best lens that we can in taking photos, even in taking videos. But since I've gotten my Ricoh GR3 last week, it was a game changer. Yes, this camera is a point and shoot camera. It is misunderstood by a lot of photographers out there, and a lot of them actually haven't used or understood what the GR3 is all about. So the first few days of my time using the GR3, I was using it as the same as like other cameras that I have. I do have like a Sony A7R2, a Pentax K1 Mark I, a Lumix S5 Mark I, and I've used the GR3 the same way or close to the same way as I am using the other cameras. I tend to use aperture priority mode, and the GR3 I think is not supposed to be mainly used that way. And also, using the GR3 is such a different thing. When I use my other cameras, I tend to like compose the same way as what I do in my other cameras. I mostly take photos of our travels, of our family's travels. I take photos, portrait photos of my wife, my kids. I take photos of landscapes, architectural photography, and as also like a videographer of my wife's channel, I take videos of my wife for her real estate channels and clients, which is mostly architectural photography. But mind you, don't use the GR3 in videos. It sucks in videos. I think like the new phones right now, or even phones that are like probably like 3 years old, take better photos than the GR3. There's just weird things going on with the video files of the GR3. There's just weird artifacts going on. But since this is a photography first video, let's talk about how the GR3 rules them all. The GR3 is just a really small point and shoot camera. If you don't know the camera, you might not think that it is an expensive and a powerful camera. That's why it's a really good camera to carry around when you're just walking and just waiting for subjects to pass by. It's just an inconspicuous camera. People will actually not know that you're carrying a camera with you in your hand, and a lot of times they won't even know that you're taking photos of them. And I also think that the button layout on this camera is excellent, and if you are not impressed or you don't like how the buttons are set up, you can actually change them in settings. You can change ISO settings easily, focus settings easily, white balance, exposure compensations easily, and that helps in taking quick random snaps. And similar to other cameras, it does have aperture priority, shutter priority, program mode, manual mode. But what is different with the GR3 is it has like snap focus priority. And in that mode, you can change the distance of which the camera will take the photos. For example, at 0.3 meters, it will take sharp photos, 1 meter, 3, and so on, to up to infinity. But it chooses automatically the shutter speed and ISO and aperture. But some might not know, you can actually change or keep the shutter speed at whatever speed or minimum speed that you want by going through the ISO setting. Like in auto ISO setting, you can change the minimum shutter speed to like 1/125th of a second, and also keep the shutter speed at whatever range that you want it to be. I keep mine at around 100 and max to 6400. So in the first few days upon using this camera, I was using it quite similar to my other cameras in aperture priority mode, and I always thought that the autofocus speed was quite slow, not on par with Sony, probably like same speed with the Pentax K1, but definitely slower than the Sony's and Lumix S5, even with the S5 Mark 1. And next day I was using it in shutter priority mode, as I wanted how to control the movements of my subjects. If I want them to have motion blur, I go change to lower shutter speed, and I want to freeze them at higher shutter speed. But again, it was taking photos and the autofocus speed was quite slow. So upon tinkering on the settings and practicing at home, I discovered that the camera, the GR3, was not supposed to be used that way. I think the camera should be used with the snap focus distance setting. Now I usually set my distance setting to around 1 meter to 3.5 meters. It depends on the subject and how I want my frame to be. But in that way, the camera just outshines every camera that I have owned. It's just super fast. Again, it's conspicuous. Your subject won't even know that you're taking photos of them. Now, how I set that up, I first go to the manual mode, change the focus settings, and I still use auto ISO. Lowest is 100, highest is 6400. And I save that to my custom button. That is U1 to U3, depends on you. And I also change the drive mode on the right scroll wheel to the focus distance. And in that way I can change what distance I want the sharp photos to be. I also turn off the LCD, making it almost like a film camera, because I cannot see the photos, the settings, even the framing. It just takes snaps and it is so quick. And right now that is what I mainly use in taking photos, probably like 90% of the time. That is why this camera, this small camera, is right now what I carry every day. It's my favorite EDC or everyday camera right now. And I'm also a really shy person. I'm an introvert. I don't take photos, honestly, of people when I use other cameras like my DSLR, my K1 Mark 1, my S5, even my small micro four thirds cameras back in the day. I'm always shy at taking photos of people. But with this perfect street camera, perfect everyday camera, I just take photos secretly. I don't know, it's kind of weird maybe, but it's really fun. And for someone like me who is an introvert, who is a really shy person, to talk to strangers, it just feels exhilarating. It just gives me like a certain thrill and a certain high. I don't know, I cannot explain it, but it just makes me happy. Yeah, even though like you can see like the photos are quite grainy, maybe not as sharp because it's not as properly focused as I want it to be, because yeah, it is like almost like in a zone focus mode. But yeah, I'm still happy. Yeah, it doesn't actually perform better noise wise with the full frame cameras that I have, but man, this camera is just so fun to use, gives me a certain high every day. Yeah, I just keep it in my small bag every day, shoot whatever I want. Yeah, the battery sucks, but I just charge it in my car. And because this camera gives me that certain high that I don't get with any cameras I have right now and I've ever owned since, that is why I carry this every day, and that is why I consider the Ricoh GR3 to be the best camera that I have ever owned. And right now I believe, that is why I believe in that quote, that the best camera is the one that you have with you. So I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope you enjoyed my story about the Ricoh GR3. This is just, I think, my second week of using the camera, and it has been such a fun time, and I'm just in love with the camera. I love using it, and I hope you will get inspired with this one. So hope you enjoy this one, and see you next time, everyone. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Your support will be highly appreciated, and see you next time, everyone, and have a great day. Bye bye.